Hi, Victoria.
Hi, Marta. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
I am so excited to be doing an interview with you today on your company.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
So, can you tell us a little bit about, first of all, where you're from?
Okay. I was born in Alamosa, but after that, I'm from Beaumont in the Houston area. And then from there, I moved to the Dallas area, and I've been here for a long
In Dallas.
time. Yes.
So
We,
there's a lot of things happening there right now in the news.
yes, Plano, which is the actual area we live, Plano is running around in a panic, trying to buy gas. And I guess really they didn't have much else to panic about. But where I was originally, which is Beaumont, Texas, is where my son is. And then I have lots of friends in Houston and stuff. But they're all in my prayers and deeply thought about by me because I spent many years there. But when Katrina happened, I actually was capable to go with a church and spend a week mucking out houses. And that's basically right now, this week, what my son is doing in Beaumont is he's in a boat and he's out doing rescues instead of sitting and wondering what's going to go on with them.
Wow, that's good. That's good. That's great.
And they're taking the water out of their swimming pool and boiling it and making water for the bath or whatever. So they're using the resources that they have.
Yeah, yeah. My cousin just drove by here and stayed with us, and he's on his way there to help a bunch of people also. So it's good that these people are helping each other and sending.
Exactly. Is he headed to Houston or Beaumont?
I think it's Houston.
Okay.
So and they're going to fly back.
Everybody's got to be very careful now, though, because what happens after the water recedes and people start going in their homes is you've got turned, everything's upside down. Icebox, ovens.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a tough job.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, sending prayers.
Sending, yes. Doing daily.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get to your company and interview.
Okay.
We are doing an interview on your publishing company. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, I can. My company is called Digital Media, and we are a mid-size book publishing company. We also do carry and work with artists, and we work with musical people and that sort of thing. The creative world in general. And I started Digital Media after Poetry Highway in 1990. Started Poetry Highway in 1986. And I have been working with authors ever since. So it's been an extremely rewarding way to live and just to daily, not exactly ever know what's going to happen. And it's been exciting and rewarding.
Yeah, the books here, everything is pretty much impressed. I'm impressed with it. How many books have you and authors have you worked with?
I've worked with over 300 authors, and we now have, I think it says on there, 296 titles, but we've worked with 300 authors that aren't actually publishing with us. So we've got the 290 that have published with us. So it's almost 600 people now.
Oh my gosh, it's a lot.
Yeah, keeps me a little busy. But I have a staff of 12 people that work with me and have been with me forever, almost all of them from the beginning. And I have authors that are repeat authors. one lady, we're now working on her 13th book. So Elika Heyman White has been with me so long, she's become the director of the company. So it's one big family. It's a team. It's a team effort. And I have editors that have published, and we have proofreaders that have drawn, and it's just an eclectic world. I love it, love it, love it. Yes.
So I have a question for you. In the 27 years that you've been in the world of books, what has been the most rewarding experience?
The most rewarding experience was one of our first, and it was right after I started doing some editing for publishing companies, and I'd been talked into, having the moxie to start my own company and to leave the newspaper where I was working and editing, and just go do it. Just go do it. You can do it. And I was sent an author who sent me a poetry book. And Marta, you wouldn't believe, it was wonderful poetry, but it was written in such a way no one would have published her. I mean, because it was on snags of paper and napkins, and it was just, a box with just her drawings from her little boy. And I mean, it was just really weird. But I fell in love with poetry. So I put the book together. And then what we did was we got a hold of the people at HBO, and we told them the story behind this girl's life. And before we knew it, they did an hour special for her, and hired an attorney. She was able to get her children back, able to get her mother help, able to become self-published and get out of poverty and make a living. And I was said, this is it. This is where I'm staying. And been there ever since.
Yeah, so you're helping these people by writing their books, and you're also helping them in their life.
Yes, that is my purpose.
Yeah, that's really cool. So during your career, what was your hardest lesson with regard to working with printers?
My hardest lesson with regard to working with printers is to know that when you hire a printer, it's extremely important that printer pack the books in a way that when they're sent UPS or they're sent Federal Express or they're sent, in a certain way that they're packed. Because one of the first deliveries that caused me to go into that, oh my God, the cost of doing business, they were 100 books, a lot of money, delivered to a wonderful person who I'm still associated with all these years later, by the name of Deb Schramm, and they delivered on her doorstep, and they were soaking wet. Soaking wet. And I then had to turn around. She had to make a claim. I had to turn around, deal with the printers. And they had to, you just have to know who you're dealing with, what you're dealing with. And that day for her, which was going to be her first book ever to arrive, is a memory etched forever, as it is in my heart. The printer doesn't care. They're just shooting out books.
Right.
They want them to look good, but they don't know Dad. They don't know, you know what I'm saying? They're not emotionally attached.
Right.
So, but we took care of it, and she got her books. But that one day, that whole feeling was a lesson that I then took with me all the way forward now to when I deliver even a single book, it goes out looking good. And with Amazon, we have not had any purchases by people that turned around and said it's damaged, we don't want it. So, and none of our storybook orders, which we have an online storefront called Storybook, none of our orders have been returned. So that one terrible lesson turned out to be something that made my company even more respected.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. I know you helped me with my books, and these are some of the samples. This is The Water Daughter.
It's
And
gorgeous.
then you also, I did editing with you and your company. This is the Shield and the Eight Immortals.
And their looks so different. And do you know the difference between the paper of your covers?
You know, we went through like 2 years of editing and 2 years of writing. You were there with me every step of the way. And
Yeah,
I could have done it without you. And then
thank
you
you.
sent me these amazing books with this beautiful paper, and I had no idea like how you knew everything that was going on, but you just put it all together like so amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, your one book, The Shield, we picked out the gloss of it, and it's a different gloss than you're going to see on a normal everyday street. And it was done purposely to show your images in a way that would be surreal. And then the Water Daughter, that emblem needed to sit on linen. So that linen is called champagne. That cover that you had there, it's called champagne.
Yeah.
That's to bring out that gold and to make
Both
it.
the books have a kind of a shine to them, like there's
Mhm.
some sort of like glimmer or mystery to them.
Yes, that's what I want to do.
And the book itself is that.
Incredible, incredible. Enlightening first, incredible too.
Thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
So let's go back to your company,
Okay.
and I have another question. So during your career, when you receive a manuscript from someone who has openly said that they will be self-publishing, are they hiring you to edit only? Do you treat their works any differently than you do a writer who is a digital author?
No, I do not. I treat every customer's manuscripts that I accept to work on the same, because what I'm trying to do is help the story be told in the best way possible so that author has a chance at becoming fully self-supporting through their own writing. That's
Right.
my goal. And if I help someone who's self-publishing and they need more editing, then I'm there. And if I treat it differently, they won't come back. Well, I don't know that I could treat it differently, Marta.
Right.
I really don't. I do what I do probably to the newspaper. You know, if I just sit and read any book, I'm going to sit and do what I do, which is to try to develop it and to see if anything's editorially wrong.
Right. So what has been the most fun you've had with writers?
We have talked about that, and I was thinking even more about other fun experiences. And the thing is, it's fun to daily wake up and not know what the day is going to be like. And I know people out there that are hearing this, they hear it and they're thinking, what is she talking about? I do not know on a daily basis who's new, who's finished. I mean, it's always so different. But some fun things that I've had is we had a meet and greet. And when we had the meet and greet, I got to meet like about 12 authors at one time that I'd been working with. And so when they came and they met me, and we had like a 2-hour event, and they met each other, and some of them became friends, and they're still friends.
Right.
That was a very fun and rewarding experience.
And what was the genre of their book?
Oh, everybody sitting there had something different. And as I talk about this, Eric Saxon, who was one of my favorite authors, passed away a few years back, but he had one of the best mystery writing books, written books, and I miss him still today. But we had poetry, we had children's books, we had Artie Foster doing his One Day as a Lion, which is a book about all the North Dallas vets that died, and he's memorializing them. Has gone on to build memorials here, gone on to have their paintings put in the courthouse in McKinney. I mean, he's like, he's a legend.
Yeah.
But that was fun. It was fun to take and go to an event of a little girl who had written a book through one of our other writers. And she was very ill, but she met my husband and I at the elevator and took us all around the place and was so sweet. And we just sat there and just both of us grinned just bigger than Dallas. And see her proudly sign her books. And
So cool.
oh, I'm still running on that steam. Yes. Fabulous.
Yeah, to affect a young child's life with books is so amazing.
Yes, yes, and since that time we've been given the gift of working with two other writers. Mallory Obanoff, who wrote Magnificent Mallory, had scoliosis spinal surgery and wrote about it, and she's helped people all over the U.S. with that.
Yeah.
It just goes on. I'm just lucky.
Yeah.
People come.
So then how long have you loved books, if I can ask?
Well, my baby book shows in the front of the book, it says Baby's Habits, and it says that I'm walking around with my book, numerous books, but it says always walking around with a book in her hand. And this was like, I'm 2 years old, and I don't think I've put them down. I think I'm still that little child walking around with a book. And I have one that I scribbled in. So like yourself, probably you started drawing very young. I'm sitting there editing in this book, so to speak, and I don't even know what to do, right? But I got the book and I've got this pencil in there and I'm changing words. It's hilarious. It's what do you call it? Unprecedented.
So yeah, I was painting, but I also always had a dictionary in my hand. And then I found out that my grandmother and her mother also had dictionaries, and it's interesting, I never go anywhere without it. So out of the 3 books that you've written, which one is your favorite?
Well, my favorite book out of the 3 books, one's a children's book, marketing product. One's a poetry book with my heart and soul in it. Okay, so why would not a publisher love the book with her heart and soul in it?
Right.
Right, because it's done. And it's really out there for y'all to enjoy.
Right.
What I love, embarrassedly so, is a book called Thorns of a Red Rose. And I spent about 6 years, probably 5 years, something like that, writing obituaries and weddings and engagements and verse and all that for about 16 newspapers. I was a real busy girl. Wow. Real busy girl. Okay. But I got very used to the obituaries. I got very used to talking to the funeral homes. I got used to talking to those who were grieving their children's death or their husband's death, or, the many accidents. I mean, all of it. It was huge. And I would go from a wedding conference, engagement conference, and then I'd go in a room and talk to someone who had just lost their family.
Right.
I mean, it was a wide range of a job. But all of a sudden, I had always a pencil and paper in my hand, and I'm always working on someone else's book. But all of a sudden, I started writing, and I'm thinking, this is a book. And I'm still writing, and I'm thinking characters. And then I thought outline, and then I thought dates. And I thought, oh, and I started doing what I'd been teaching others to do.
Right.
The only thing is, it was not a Sally come lately. It ended up being a serial killer book. And it's extremely macabre. It is about a serial killer who goes to school to become a mortician because his wife inherits the whole business, and he doesn't know anything about it, and he's got to take over. So he goes to school for it, and then he starts dealing with the dead, and he becomes that sick man that starts burying them and then having to find more.
Oh, no.
People aren't dying soon. And I mean, it's,
yeah, it's like, as an artist,
it's not anything like me.
right, it's the creative process in writing books, music, movies, is you get to touch on your dark side without having to actually do it.
Yes. Or their dark side.
Yeah, and so
yes.
we've talked about this before when we were writing the books that I was doing, and they went under super fiction. I think we figured out how to. I didn't really know what genre I was writing in, and you helped me.
Yes.
Put it in a place that made sense.
Well, it did make sense. And we had speculative fiction too. Why I'm mumbling. Speculative
fiction.
It's a very hard word to say. What it means is this is the future as you would feel it. That you don't really have to be taught that's exactly what happened. You're speculating.
Right.
And I love it. Of course, my gory little red rose, I'm speculating what would happen to someone who knew nothing at all about the mortuary and who was already an addictive person, what might happen to him.
Right.
And then the other side of the story is about a woman who is suicidal and decides she didn't want to go down in history as someone who killed herself. So she decides to look for this serial killer to kill her so she can go out the right way. So really, and then the story, can you believe I would even think of all this? But the story on the other side, what does it have to do with roses? You got to read it to find out.
Because these are the 3 books that you've written, and you've edited over and helped over 300 authors, and now you've got over 600 books.
Yes.
And so you really know your stuff when it comes to editing and marketing and running a company.
Well, when people refer me, they actually tell the people, you're going to be working with VicToria if you choose, but just know there's going to be red ink. So, I change the font colors. If I feel like someone's really sensitive, I'll use blue. I don't have to be boldly red with the changes. I put things in bracket and I put consider, and that's a lovely word. Consider changing your sentence to this instead of this is wrong.
Right.
So, I could be considered a Nazi editor because I'm going to really show you what to do.
I think we edited my books and it took 2 years to edit.
Well, most of them take a year. Most of them do.
So in the past 5 years, what have you learned the most that makes the entire industry different, and for who?
Okay, what have I learned the most? I learned that, and I don't know if I've been over this with you before, but I really learned that if I wanted to stay like an old-timey publisher, I wouldn't have been able to do what I do. I learned that I had to stay up with the times. I needed to build websites. I needed to do Pinterest, which you've got a visual of my Pinterest account. I learned that having one Facebook wasn't going to be enough to cover really helping and marketing as much as I wanted to do. I learned Instagram on my own and taught myself. And then I've had the pleasure of teaching Instagram to lots of different people. But the biggest lesson came when ebooks showed up in full form. And I'd already been sharing PDF files with the printers in order to get the books printed. So in my little brain, I had already kind of thought, well, I'm sending these ebooks to printers. What would keep me from, realizing that other people could read them this way too?
Right.
And at the time I had that thought, Marta, people weren't doing ebooks. There was only print. And I thought, wow, if that happened, it would really harm the print business. So before I knew it, and not from anything I did, but before I knew it, other companies had began to show us that we could have Kindles and we could have Nooks and we could have, electronic machines to buy the books from.
Right.
So I'm glad I stayed up with the times and I didn't sit in antiquity. You remember when you were here in Plano and we went to McKinney and we went to the little bookshop and I asked the guy if he had a Kindle and he looked at me and he said, I wouldn't use one of those if my life depended on it. You were there with me. You traveled here and we went. And I remember looking at him like, okay, I'm going to watch your shop shut down. He's still there, but he doesn't have much business.
I think we went, what was it, like a secret bookshop or something we went to?
Yes. It was over there by that rusty looking ladder going down that building. Yeah. Every time I go to McKinney, I go in there and say hi to him. But I don't see him do a whole lot of business. He does sell books that are hard to find, signed collectibles, something you'd pay $1,000 for. I'm not in that market.
So do you have an author publisher experience you would like to share with everyone?
I have so many. One of the, what type? I have so many. I do have so many. We have had book signings that have been out the door. We have had book signing for the Something Else show, which is Bud Bouchard and Sam Sauls. And I've been working with them for 3 or 4 years.
Can you put that up a little bit so I can see it?
Can you see?
Yeah, Something Else. Okay, show.
Unbelievable. Took 2 years. Familiar? Took 2 years.
It takes a long time to write a book.
Well, this book is about the Something Else show, which was a television dance show in the 1960s in Dallas. And it was a lot like, help me, I can't think of the name of it. But anyway, there are so many people in the Dallas area that got to either dance on the show or look inside the windows and the glass to watch the show happen. And there are just hundreds and hundreds of bands that are very popular today that really sang their first song on that dance show. It was on TV forever. So I'm working with very interesting men that are professors at UNT, and they teach music. That you can't get much more fun than that, can you?
Yeah.
Then we have the chapters to put together, which contained everything in the world that happened on the show, all about the dancers, all about the music, all about the bands. I mean, there's a lot of data, a lot of research, a lot of time, a lot of images. So many fabulous images are in that book. But then we had our book signing at a record store in the Dallas area, and we were just watching people just line up, and it really was truly that line that goes out into the street. And I was like, this is a shining moment I want to remember forever and ever.
Right, right.
They do too. They do too.
So then what genre do you not work with?
I do not work with eroticism, a very spicy romance. I don't work with that. I've been pretty lucky in the fact there are some publishers that are inundated with those manuscripts, because there is a lot of romance out there, and there's a thin line on some of the romances that you'll get. It'll look like it's just regular romance between a woman and a man, and then you get in it and you're totally lost.
Right.
But it's just something I don't have any experience at, and something I don't want to edit or read, and I wouldn't sell from a website.
Right, right. So keeping it PG.
It is PG. Everything there on storybooks you could buy for your sister, your mother, your 19-year-old, and there's lots of kids books. So to
cool.
mix a lot, like we have a lot of genres. If you click on store and you go to genres, and with the mixture of the memoirs and with the mixture of the children's stories, it just never would have ever felt appropriate to throw in a bunch of book covers that sitting beside Flicker, which is about a bug that shines, or Dizzy Dragonfly, about a dragonfly that gets its wing. Then right next door you would have something. No, it wouldn't be appropriate. I wouldn't.
Right.
Wouldn't it?
So if an author's book does not sell really well, do you remove it from the online store? And do you stop selling the book?
No, ma'am. We keep it as long as the author wants it. And once the author has published with us, they don't even have to pay to have it on the store. I don't have yearly fees that keep it up there. And it will only come down if someone was to request it, and only a few have. And I think for personal reasons, other than literature reasons.
So what do you think the future trends are for books and the publishing world? And
well, last night I was thinking, dangerous for me. It is. But I was thinking, and stop me if I'm going somewhere you don't want me to be. There's a flow of the universe that builds itself, that keeps building itself.
Uh-huh.
And we're all busy, and we're all technologically busy, and we're all running around, and we have now 20 minutes to devote to reading instead of 2 hours to devote to reading.
Right.
And so we're causing the trend.
Mm-hmm.
So the trend got to be ebooks, because that people got convinced they didn't have any time. But then people got convinced they missed the feel of having a book in their hand. Mm-hmm. Now we've all developed, because of the flow, we've all developed a need to still read,
right.
A need now to go back out and buy, but we've all grown in integrity and in intelligence. And so we're needing a more beautiful book. We're needing a more collectible book. And that's where I think the trend's going, is to help somebody like yourself, like your third book, I would see that being, no matter what we needed to do, a hardback. So you could have that feeling, your own self. Now, my next delivery is going to be different. And it's going to be something that when I put it on the coffee table, it's not, it's going to be something that we've grown to instead of we just went out and got it.
Yeah, so you're saying that people are kind of missing the energy of having a hardback,
yes,
physical, old school book in their
yeah.
hands, and that it's not being replaced by an ebook that is kind of just in the ethers.
Yes, yes. And I'm saying if anyone goes into any bookstore that has books from the past and they pick up any books from the past and they see the gold design and they see the gold etching along the edges and they want to leave the store with it. I want to create books that I want people to leave the store with.
Yeah, so do you think that books are becoming more of they're becoming a collector's edition and
yes.
something that's
yes.
like
yes.
art, it's just going to get higher and higher pricing? And
maybe not on the pricing, because myself, I don't know about others, and I wouldn't speak about others, but myself, I've done some really hard legwork, and I've found a local printer, and I've found someone who isn't gouging me $4 a book. Therefore, I don't have to get that $4 extra out of the money that I'm paid to do the book. I don't have to even, literally, I can go look at paper and go down in price, say, no, we don't need that. How about if we try this and it's $1 less per 50 sheets,
Right.
And I'm out there doing that when normally someone would be just sitting at the desk using the phone saying, sure, why don't you go ahead and charge me $12 a book because it's a hardback.
Right.
And then we have to charge, if the publisher has to pay $12 a book, then we turn around, we have to charge twice that, or other companies that come in and take percentage from you. What they'll end up doing is take so much percentage that we'll have to charge too much for the book. And
right.
that's why hardbacks got out of the world. And I want them to come back. So.
Yeah, I think a lot of people want them to come back. Maybe we'll create a little revolution.
I hope so.
Books to come back.
And the publishers out there that are my size, which is 600 titles, or the smaller ones, if they would just get the desire not to get 2,000 clients, but to get 100 good titles.
Right.
That's the key.
Right.
So
quality.
Yes. I guess I'm almost shouting that, but yes.
So, you mentioned something to me before about when the recession hit, how the books, everyone started to write their memoirs.
Yes.
You're talking about that. Can you talk to me about that a little more?
Yes. Right after 9/11, so much happened to devastate people. And then Katrina, and so much happened to devastate people. And now, of course, with the flood in Houston and surrounding areas of Houston, it'll do it again. But when you have a complete devastation of people, you have a complete devastation of economy.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have an economy problem and a drop down, these people that have to live through it, from the firemen to the policemen to the doctors to the lawyers to all the way down to the guy that was shining shoes when you walked in the door, they're all had to be for a period of time home. And these are busy people like myself that aren't going to sit and be bored on the back porch. They started writing. Everybody started writing. Not everybody a memoir, but a lot of them were. And they started, I was getting 100 a week.
Wow.
I was being inundated with all this paperwork, and I'm like, and I'm seeing stuff in all caps, and I'm seeing stuff that, some of it with no caps because,
Right.
it's messaging, how it, well, I'm getting manuscripts like that, and I'm like, oh my God. But all they wanted to do was really be heard.
Right.
So then I had to contact them and say, look, we can't print this like it is. We can't do that. I'm not going to put my name on that. But I'd be glad to help you, and we'll retype it, and we'll, edit it, and we'll, and then what happened is they heard about ebooks. So they heard about self-publishing, and they said, well, we don't have to fix anything. Here's this company that'll let me just run right through. And they did. Over 1 million of them did. I mean, over 1 million people published books that no real publisher would have published. They did it on their own. They did it without anybody. They had no support. They had no marketing. They had a story. But they felt better when they finished, and I'm glad for that. And I'm glad to have the writers, but they didn't get the joy. They didn't get the connection. They didn't get the one-on-one, side-by-side that we could have given them.
Yeah. Well, I know from firsthand working with you, you were there every step of the way, and working with you was like, you're birthing my book into the world, basically.
Thank you.
It was really a personal experience, and I couldn't have done it without you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
So let's go through your links for our viewers. And here we have digital media.
Yes, ma'am.
This is your email that they can reach you at.
Yes, it is, and that's my phone number.
And then these are the links. This is the shop.
Yes. And the shop shows new releases first, and then down at the bottom it has featured. And then if you roll back up by VicToria's name there, let's see. Scroll down, you'll see a real pretty lady, Victoria Hines. She's our featured author this month. She has 3 books out, but I'm in the middle of publishing her 4th book. And rewarding enough is my granddaughter is actually watercoloring the artwork that's going in Monarch. And it's incredible. And what a wonderful experience to work with a writer,
right,
and work with my granddaughter at the same time. Now, Handy So Dandy was drawn by Linda Phillips, and Bubble Boy was drawn by help me out, Kristen, sorry, but now by the time we do Monarch, she will have worked with 3 of our artists. And it's just fun. It's fun. Why wouldn't someone do it?
And then this is a need validation. This is your Twitter.
Yes, and you just went by one of your covers. I just love it. It's my favorite cover of all. I love it.
Oh yes, this is the Water Daughter that you helped me with. My first book ever.
Yes.
And so, what is need validation?
Need validation is that part of my personality that really allowed me to get into helping authors. It's a website that or an area where touching others, everybody needs to be validated.
Right.
I had a thought in the middle of the night, woke up, I had the 2 words, I went to the computer to see if anybody had the company name. No one had it. I built a website around it and started just putting a lot of forward-thinking stuff on it, and I think it was so forward-thinking it didn't catch on. But I left the Twitter account, and basically what I'm doing with that is just showing that from television to film to positive thinking to yoga, there's any number of things on there, and that we just send out positive thoughts every day.
Good.
So
This is your Pinterest?
yes, that's a picture of my brain.
Story filled, right?
Yeah, and it shows the authors, it shows their covers, it shows my coloring, what I do as fun when I'm not working, and that's hardly ever. But I love Pinterest. It's just one of my favorite places to be. And yes, this is my dream of where I will live someday. Get out of this huge house and go into
a library.
A tiny house. Oh yeah, can you believe the libraries in the tiny house I'm gonna.
Okay.
The idea is to leave the books behind, but I won't ever.
So this is your Instagram.
Yes.
Then you also have your Facebook.
Yes.
Membership site.
That is the digital Facebook. And then we have a Facebook group for digital. It's called Writing with Digital. And then I have my own personal Facebook, which is, it's full of a lot of positive thinking as well. So.
And there's.
Yeah, there we go. And that's the
that's the other book that you did.
Yes.
So thank you so much for this interview today.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And can I show everybody just one last thing?
Of course.
This right here, can you see it?
Yeah.
That is a painting that you painted that is treasured by me. And that's the lucky thing too, is that by knowing artists and the incredible work that they do, I have actually ended up with paintings by them, and they adorn my home. So.
Oh, thank you. I think I sent that when we were working on the Water Daughter or the Shield.
Well, actually, that does have a story behind it. Actually, Grant Phosphor got that painting, and then he framed it and he shipped it to me as a gift.
Oh, that's right, at one of my shows.
Yes, exactly. And he sends good greetings to you and says he's thinking of you and wishes you well.
Thank you. So let's end our interview with the books that you published for me.
Yes.
Water and the Shield.
And they're available on storybooks.com.
And at your company here, Digital Media.
Yes, Digital Media.
Such an amazing company. So prolific.
And we love doing children's books. They don't have to even have artwork. We'll do it for you. And memoirs of almost every kind. So,
VicToria, you are such an amazing woman. I am so grateful to have met you at the Donald Trump Cambridge is where we met.
Yes, we did. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm hopeful to see you soon or hear from you soon.
Thank you so much. We'll talk soon.
All right, see you on the net.
Adios.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.